are appearing. I'm going to give it a minute because, as you know, this is all done ad hoc. Videos happen as when Spirit guides me to speak. No sooner, no later. So I'm just also going to check and see if this is going through online. So if you hear an echo of my own voice, that's on purpose. My little girl is wandering around my feet. She's like, Mommy, what are you going to say today, Mommy? She's quite excited, I think. Oh, okay, we've got someone here. Hello, Carl Pope. Hello, Michi. Hello, Latoya. Nice to see you. Familiar names. Hello, Mountain Woman Medicine. Prr. Lovely to see you too. Hello, for Curiosity. Nice to see the crowd coming in. Hello, Jane Lane. It just takes a minute before it actually shows that you're here. Hello, Medea. Medea is a very, very lovely sister whom I met when I was in New York, and it's actually an interview of both of us online. It's really good. You can check it out on my channel. Hello, Day. Hello, hello, Auntie Sue. Good to see all of you. So, yeah, it's been a very. Oh, here we go. Hello, Angela from Costa Rica. Say hello to the land. Hello, Eva Jewel. Now I realize I've not been online much, but there's certain times where one has to sit with their own shit and one has to do their work and spend a little more time doing their own work before they can talk. So, and I'm very much lead by example type of person. Thank you, Medea. Hello, Priscilla. Hello, Tiraf. Hello, neighbors. Hello, everyone. So, just giving a minute to get the vibe to settle. I mean, anyone who thinks that we're just talking about astrology and whatnot must be new here. It's all about the vibe. It's all about tuning into an aspect of the collective that allows us to go even deeper in our respective practice. Now, Day asks, "How is your garden?" This is very interesting. Now, I had to go away for a little bit as part of the work that I was doing. And whilst I was away, and this is very interesting, whilst I was away, my brother was taking care of the garden and the girls. So they hadn't seen me in a couple of weeks as well. It was quite tough on them. My brother says Lil Lucky, who's his girl, turned into the cutest coma patient in the world. Gosh, this is all she would do for like 3 weeks. Oh. But whilst I was away, something hit our garden. And almost all the seedlings that I had placed just got hit. Like they turned brown. And I asked my brother, "How much you been watering?" And he told me, and he's like, "Yeah, that's about right." And the soil itself had lost its ability to hold the water. And it just happened very, very suddenly after I had left to go do my thing. And I was like, okay, it's not natural. So we actually have a soil revitalization project. I'm looking at some alchemical metals and I'm looking at some means to get the soil back in tune. Of context, this is a tropical country. That ain't supposed to happen. It's kind of like what happened today. We had like parts of the blender out, and my brother had kept the blade away because we got small little children in the house. And I woke up, wanted to go to the loo, and somehow, not by a way that can be explained through human logic, there's the blade on the floor. I'm half asleep. I step on it. So I get part of the blade on the base of my foot. And it's bleeding and everything. And for those of you who know me, you know that I don't go to a clinic or a doctor unless I really need to. And so we have this my brother recorded it because I wanted it for posterity. And I ended up putting raw alcohol on the wound. And that was I just roared. I just roared loud. If it was any more epic, I probably would have started sounding like Arnold Schwarzenegger from The Predator. So it was a very manly moment, manly using it in a non-gendered way, if you know what I mean. It was just kind of really. But the garden, my foot, both of those of you who have been following me know that there's a lot of metaphysical oddities that happen in my life. And it's not for a lack of protection, it's not for a lack of doing what I should be doing. There's just a lot of shit that I deal with because of the work that I do as a metaphysical practitioner. So today was no exception. But foot is being dressed, and I'm trying to do my best to take care of it, trying to do my best to revitalize the garden. And it's a little spooky, I know, but it also sets the theme and it also sets the context. But it's this is we're approaching the Scorpio full moon. We're not quite there yet, The moon is still in the tail end of Libra right now, so the intensity has yet to really hit the fan fully. I'm just really glad, really, really glad that the blade did not go near the girls. So, okay, okay. So in the meantime, I've just been doing all of these works to revitalize, to cast out that which no longer aligns, to keep in as clear of my practice as I can, and to again live the life that I would encourage others to live. So that's what I've been doing as usual. But yes, that is what is happening there. Let's just segue really briefly to who else is here. Hello, Candy. Hello, Siobhan. Hello, Millie. Hello, Katrina. Just finished a rites of passage. Nice to hear. Oh, that's my girl. Hello, Jolene. Hello, Priscilla. You know, mm-mm. Daybreak, full moon blood offerings. I don't have a womb anymore, so I cherish all the blood I spill. I hope your precious foot heals quickly in your garden. Thank you so much. I kind of figured something might be trying to do something along those lines, and I noticed because I'm, inspired by my brother and by Chinese movies, I started looking into the meridian system and the extraordinary meridians, and I was looking at, where and how this happened, and let's just look at it symbolically in a way that aligns. So let us segue into that from that context, which is very, very relevant, into just a little bit of a review of what's been happening the past couple of days. Now, those of you in Tier 23, you have received the full package, or what I feel comfortable sharing. And, it's like I have to really limit myself when I'm talking there because I know they're already getting this much of activation with each installation. It's like bam, bam, bam. So, when I go and do a live, it's always a much, much, much lighter version of things just because the intensity is a lot higher in Tier 23. So, the past couple of days, we've been seeing, the star players really have been Venus and Mercury in Taurus. And they've been aspecting Uranus, they've been aspecting Saturn all over the past few days. So they've been in effect reactivating the Uranus Saturn square. And we are going to see two more of those squares. One in mid-June and the other right about the time of my birthday in December. So we still are going to see two world-shaking, you know, energetic landscape reimagining things that are going to be happening. So this is, believe me, this is still comparatively a lull period. So, Anuki, my girl is like going, Mommy, the energy is too high. I have to act up. That's what she does. The moment I start speaking, she gets very, very. Like today, I will say this. I will say this. Like after my great primal scream, because I decided to be super, I'll take care of this about my wound. I decided that, we were listening to some music and I finally managed to rap. I finally did. And he actually recorded it. My brother was like, woo! And here's the thing, right? I've been trying to get into rap. I've been trying my hardest to get into hip hop. And the way that I've been getting into it is through bardcore. I found this a couple of days ago, the same time that Venus and Mercury started doing their thing. And it's a type of genre of music that emerged in 2020. And it is amazing. I mean, what they do is they take, like, whether it's rock, pop, hip hop, jazz, anime music, computer game music, and they turn it into medieval style instrumentation. And my style of composition is very close to that. And it is amazing. I love Bardcore. I want a t shirt that says Bardcore for life. So we were listening to Slim Shady. And, the thing about me and the girls is I can sing for them because we're very psychically in tune with them. So I know what they would like. And then I was like, all right, if I can sing for them, I can sing for me. So tried rapping, something came out. I was so proud of myself. I was so proud. Like growing up, we were not encouraged to look at anything from Africa or from African American culture. And, it's certainly something that I feel has been a missing part of my education and experience as a person because a lot of my education has been strongly influenced by the European artistic tradition. So it's something that I am actively working to fill in my space. So, that was something nice that did come out. Simply because I had screamed so loud, I figured, you know what, I might as well give this a go. So it worked. I managed. I'm so proud of myself. Maybe if I when I get a little bit more confidence about it, I will do something with it. But I listened to my rap and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so boring." But anyway, that is the segue. But that's like a very concrete example of what Venus and Mercury have been doing, in addition to creating material circumstances that I absolutely have to deal with. I mean, generally speaking, it's a time for us to be looking at our relationship with our siblings, our relationship with our, with those who are in our immediate environment. We have to be looking at our relationship with our relationships, the people in our lives, and there's a lot of questions surrounding worth, surrounding value, surrounding integrity that Uranus and Saturn have been activating big time. Big time. If your relationships are not in alignment, you got to acknowledge it, you got to fix it, otherwise, you got to go. Honestly, there is no middle path here. You are not meeting the bare minimum that you need to meet so that your relationships are in harmony with the larger unfolding of alignment of consciousness that honors the feminine as in the masculine. Well, things are not going to go so well. So it's been a very, very powerful wake up call on multiple levels and a very powerful opportunity to speak truth in different ways. So, these are good things, but they can come in a very abrupt way, sometimes, through something that can seem very negative. Like, for example, me nearly getting my foot sliced through and then suddenly realizing, you know what, I'm going to try rapping. It was one thing that led to something else, and it's like, okay, and all right. And this is the nature of Uranus and Saturn, especially Uranus. You just can't predict it. You don't know when it's going to erupt. You don't know how it's going to erupt, but you know that there is going to be some truth through whatever situation emerges, how unpleasant it is, how scary it is, how seemingly unwanted it is. There's going to be some opening from it, you know? And that's how I would honestly see we need to look at these days as part of the build up to the Scorpio full moon. Now, Scorpio full moon in and of itself, and like I said, the moon is still in late Libra. We ain't there yet. The Scorpio full moon itself is going to be bringing up a lot of shadow issues, a lot of ancestral issues, a lot of occult issues. Many people who follow astrology, who look for spirituality, they tend to have lifetimes of baggage of this stuff. Of course, that includes me. I wouldn't be doing this work if I didn't know anything about that. But it's like it's an opportunity for us to really be looking at what remaining contracts, backdoors, what means of energetic access, what allowances, what ideals, what aspects of self have been unintegrated, have been unacknowledged, and to transmute the living shit out of them. So that's pretty much what is also going to be coming up very profoundly at a metaphysical level. Now you may ask, okay, but why the level of danger? We are also seeing Ceres trining Therius, the hunter stalker, and throughout this period. And you know my thoughts on Therius. I don't like him. I think he's a bastard. I don't like him. Therius is that which hunts and waits and acquires. So just like me, kind of waking up half awake, going, I need to go to the bathroom, and then that's a very Therius thing. And Therius trine Ceres indicates that these hidden patterns of predation can often come through those who are projecting themselves as nurturers. So, I mean, there's a lot of people now, like talking about this 20 years ago, no one would have been able to make sense of it. But in the past 20 years, people have really begun to understand how toxic family traits happen. How some people actually don't have parents, but rather they have individuals who see children as objects and batteries for their own personal use. And people who struggle through that are going to likely to see a greater degree and level of risk at this time, whether it's physically or whether it's emotionally. This is where you really got to go and look. I mean, it's why, I've seen so many people over the years who've either tried to call themselves my sisters, my mentors, my friends, and for me to go, really, really, and then only to finally one day kind of get the in the back. I've seen that enough times to, I think, by this point realize when is it actually nurture and when is it someone who is basically trying to pull your strings. So that is also something that I want you to be very, very aware of. And sometimes the most painful thing in the world is having to confront those illusions when they involve either your family of origin or people you love, like a lover or partner. Sometimes people manipulate you by pretending to be your nurturer, and sometimes they manipulate you by claiming that they need your nurture when all they want is a free ride to your energy. So this is a kind of this is a big lesson that people who suffer very, very strongly with chronically overgiving and overextending themselves need to be very aware of at this time. So this is also yet another layer to the Scorpio full moon that is about to explode its consciousness on us. I mean, it's the kind of energy where the moon itself is going to be aspecting multiple bodies, multiple bodies. Let me just look at my list real quick. The exact full moon is going to be occurring on in universal time. That's 3:31 a.m. on the 27th of April. So for those of you in North and South America, that's going to be late on the 26th. For those of us in Asia, that's going to be later in the day, in the morning, and Australia and New Zealand even later than that. But it's basically 20 late 26th to the 27th. But effectively, this particular moon makes aspects to bodies like Pholus at 5 degrees Capricorn. That has a lot to do with the outbreak of disease, pandemic, and more importantly, the way individuals exert control over others in the name of egoic fears. It's going to be sextile Vesta, which is a very, very important energy, because Vesta is where we make certain contracts. And a lot of the time, people wanting to do good, coming from a Piscean era of indoctrination, believe that they have to take the hit for others for good to actually happen. That somehow the greater good will be served if only you sacrificed yourself. But that's bullshit. You are part of the greater good. Any solution that asks you to diminish yourself or to reduce your autonomy and your agency over your own life is Piscean era conditioning and mindfuckery. So this is a very, very important time for facilitators, service providers, people who, very strongly define their lives in terms of how they relate to others through a form of service. This is a very important time to take a step back from those particular narratives because they ain't gonna help. We're also seeing this particular full moon sextile Eros. Now, Eros, if you look at the myth, I don't romanticize things very often, and Eros, yes, it can be very passionate eroticism, but it can also be a flash in the pan. It can literally be karmically, magically induced attraction that leads you down a path that you didn't need to take. So whatever comes up, I want you to really think again before you put your foot down on something. Think whether, okay, is this something that is really appealing to me, or is this a part of my ego and my karmic baggage that I have yet to resolve? Heck, is this something else that my ancestor had a desire towards that I am embodying because that fella hasn't moved on yet? Sometimes what we experience may not even be our personal issues. And that is why the Western psychological model, in and of itself, is inadequate to understand the spiritual universe. It's a lot more layered and complicated. Sometimes we pick up our ancestors, sometimes we pick up land, sometimes we pick up things that are random shit that may be wandering around. Sometimes we pick up stars, sometimes we pick up the intelligences among the stars. And that's not always friendly either. Also, bear in mind that the moon makes aspects to things such as also Uranus at 10 degrees Taurus, Chiron at 10 degrees Aries. There's still a lot of revelation that's going to be coming through with this moon. And, this is one of those things, whenever Uranus is involved, it's a case of you gotta be prepared for the unexpected. You that there's no other way except to be as open as possible, as discerning as possible, but at the same time as grounded and anchored in what roots you, what anchors you, what allows you to stand tall and to look at whatever it is that is coming your way. Because if you give in to fear during this moon, no matter what comes up, you if you lose your shit, you're not going to resolve things at all. It doesn't work. No matter what comes, and I think I have lived a weird enough life to have the qualifications to say, no matter what comes, you gotta have your feet on the ground. Sometimes, there's an initial shock, there's an initial what the shit is going on. But allowing that and acknowledging that that too may be part of your process, just allow yourself to come back to who you are and then decide accordingly. You know, this is the kind of energy where it is not just about making big declarations to the universe, but those declarations are embodied and encoded into our daily lives. Where is our body being present? What is it doing? What is it eating? What is it listening to? How is it interacting with others? Whether it's humans, animals, plants, the land, or just the area around you. How are you actually making those deeper and more subtle spiritual messages manifest in your everyday? And this is where the universe is listening very, very powerfully. So use this opportunity of the Scorpio full moon to transmute what needs to be transmuted, to align yourself with whatever you understand as a higher power, greater power, whatnot, or deeper power, and use this opportunity to actually bring to the surface that which no longer needs your emotional attachment. Now, this can apply in relationships, it can apply to health issues, it can apply to finances, it can apply to sexual matters, ancestry, the occult, what people call shadow work. Truly, there is no spiritual work that is divorced from shadow work. It's an aspect of things, you know, and shadow is not always bad. Sometimes it's just a place to rest. You know, whatever it is that comes up, this is your chance to set things in order, take a further step of clearing, take a further step of purification. I would highly advise you not to, you know, people who are prone to substance abuse, people who are prone to wanting to escape, is not a good time for it. You know, if you need additional support, if you need additional nurture, perhaps there are people or groups or communities that can provide that service for you in a way that is also energetically balanced for them. But this is really not a time to be pushing yourself into something without support or going too extreme into things without the right kind of anchoring to begin with, you know. So this is a very powerful thing to also remember. There's a lot of deep work that can happen, but you must have the right foundation. Otherwise, it's not going to go well. And if you don't know what that is, don't try to bite off more than you can chew. Sit, protect yourself, ground yourself, anchor yourself in whatever way you see fit, and just take your time to allow things to happen, to move, to observe. A general rule would also be to take care of electronic items, to make sure that there's no faulty wiring. That's a big deal. And to make sure that, you know, you are more aware of your general state of health and your general state of being. A special focus can be paid to the bladder, the prostate, the reproductive and sexual organs. You know, putting a little bit more focus there is definitely not a bad idea. But in a positive sense, for those of you who are in a good space and who have the resources to do so, use this to celebrate. Use this to find hidden talents, hidden gifts of abundance, and don't be stingy with it. Take what you need and use the rest for something that is truly aligned. Having said that, that is pretty much what I wanted to say with respect to this Scorpio full moon. Of course, there's going to be a lot of agitated weirdos around because that's what happens during full moons, especially when it brings out people's undesirable sides that they don't want to see in themselves. So, do exercise a little bit more physical caution, especially if you're dealing with people who want to escape in other people and who want to control or try to control themselves by controlling others as a proxy. That never works. So, having said that, let me now turn back to the comments and let's just see if there's anything that I need to address. Do, 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 do. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Oh, hello, Evie Love. Hi, Priscilla. Okay, good. Mm-mm-mm. Priscilla says, dark side of Eros. Just read the myth, honey. Anyone with a sane mind looking at the Eros and Psyche myth, it's not even the dark side, it is just how fucked up mythology is. It's nothing even particularly evil. It's just, oh my God, this is what we've been, you know, conditioned to understand as the divine desired male. That explains so much about society. Joyful Soul says, I just celebrated my 40th birthday a week ago and also ended my toxic and codependent relationship with my boyfriend. Congratulations! My brother is giving you a fist up. Let's see. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. I see confirmation, confirmation. All right. VB says, I haven't been feeling well. It's been tiring. Good to see you, though. It's definitely a time to take care of your health a bit more. You know, for those of you who feel a little off and don't know why, it might be also a good time to have a health checkup. Especially focus on the blood and focus on the down below, because that's where you may find, areas that need your attention. But I would certainly say for those of you who are feeling a little weaker, a little more anemic, it might be a good idea to see if you need more iron supplementation or just eat foods that are richer in iron. Let's see. Okay, but I would. Oh, okay. Vivi says it's been related to cold. Ah, well, I know what South Indian kitchens are like. Believe me, most of what we need to heal is already in the kitchen. So I'm sure you can find something to help. But definitely ginger if that feels right for you. Okay, VB says he tested negative. That is good. I'm very, very happy to hear it. Bondan says this full moon is conjunct my ascendant. Wow. It's going to be quite interesting for you. Let's see. Well, anyways, unless there's anything major, I'm going to sign off. I'm just giving a minute. Oh, Liv says focus on the blood. My latest Thessalemia crisis agrees. You hear me. So, yes, yes. Let's see. Three essences. I'm really struggling with focus under these energies. Any suggestions? Well, the thing about Scorpio is that it does require a certain focus or intense emotional intensity on things. But if you're trying to control your focus, you're working against yourself. Look at what you are naturally pulled to at this time and try and figure what is going on there. Similarly, if there's something that you are absolutely avoiding, try and ask yourself why. So rather than you trying to direct your energies at this time, look at what it is naturally moving to, or look what it is naturally moving away from, and you're likely to find more answers. Let's see. Yep, I would say that's about it. Batwoman says hi. Hi, Batwoman. Oh, that reminds me. That reminds me. I wanted to tell you something really, really cool. Unrelated to the full moon directly, but something really cool. Now, as you know, I'm a big anime fan, and I love me my superheroes and superheroines comic books. I love that my brother started, and in fact, my grandfather loved it. He's the first one who really introduced it, and he was the person who was interested in astrology and palmistry. He was the only person in the family who was like that. And so my brother loves it, and I love it. And my brother and I, have a particular love for Batman. And I don't know how many very valuable and well used hours of my life and our lives we have spent deconstructing different superhero archetypes and looking at the hidden lessons within. And one of the things that really makes Batman come to life, and I just remembered it because I saw Batwoman comment. One of the things that really brings Batman to life for us is the 90s animated series. Because there's also an age factor, right? If you're growing up in a different time, your understanding of the ideal Bat would be different. But for us, it was always the 90s animated series because it was very, very close in my brother's understanding to the comic books as well. And the thing is that this particular energy of what we enjoy and what we really empathize with is brought to life by a very specific composer. Now, I'm also a huge fan of Tim Burton and a huge fan of Gothic films. And, I love all of that stuff. I've never been on the tinkly toes, lighter side of things, though I do love me my rainbow unicorns. That's also true. But I realized that the music that I really love from films like Edward Scissorhands and the music that I really love from Batman the Animated Series had a person in common. And it was this woman called Shirley Walker, whom real diehard fans will actually know. And she is the one who built on the theme that Danny Elfman made, and she created the atmosphere, the intensity, the psychological depth that has since then become the foundation for the way we interpret Batman and the Joker today. So it all goes down to this woman, Shirley Walker. She collaborated with Elfman in the earlier films, and she even had Hans Zimmer, who was the soundtrack composer for the later films, as her synthesist. So I was listening to this, and my brain was just like, it makes sense now. It's her style, because that's very much all. It's been a very strong influence in my own music. So, yes, Shirley Walker is for a lot of people the person who defined the sound and the depth of the Batman. It's pretty cool. But yeah. So, like, thank you, Batwoman, for popping up. Thank you. If you look at Shirley Walker Batman Suite, like, she's the only composer who actually till date captured the moment when Batman first he wears the mask, and it's in the animated movie Mask of the Phantasm. And I highly recommend it. It's probably always going to be still like in the top 5 animated movies of all time. So I highly recommend checking that out. And you know what, that would definitely fit the Scorpio full moon as well, come to think of it. So that is something I found out super cool. We also were watching this really fun documentary and series, and also some other side documentaries on Netflix about things that we like from our childhood, like He-Man, She-Ra, and Ghostbusters. And interestingly enough, we also found some very, very powerful women. For example, the first director of the He-Man series was also a woman. And so for the first season and the second season, and I was looking at all of the complex story choices and decision choices they made in creating the form of Shira. And we started watching the new Shira, Princess of Power, because even though all of this sounds like kid stuff, it's really not. The thing is, we used to elevate mythology and either put it on a shelf or something that needs to be performed on a stage, in a theater, in a drama somewhere. But really, these are our mythologies. And this is why so many people are so drawn to them, and why people like us spend hours analyzing them and understanding them and looking at them. And because this is the way humanity is trying to resolve multiple crises that it has about itself you know so highly recommend Shira, Princess of Power. Those of you who have very intact memories of past lives will look at them and go, I know that. And it's cool. I've also tried to see if I can make a bardcore version of the original Shira theme. That is a side project in progress that I'm also doing. But it also, yes, check out bardcore. Beadle the Bardcore is the best channel as far as I know, and I highly recommend that. Check out his rendition of the Real Slim Shady. It is fantastic. So, having said that, surround yourself with as much integrity as you can in whatever ways you see fit. There is a dog howling outside who agrees, and enjoy this moon. There's no point of being afraid of it because you're going to have to deal with it anyway. That's just how it goes. So take care, very many blessings, and ciao ciao for now. Bye bye. How's that?